Picture this. It's May 1st, 1976 at Wembley Stadium, the air thick with tension and the scent of fresh-cut grass under the Twin Towers. Liverpool are locked in a fierce FA Cup final against Manchester United, the score tied at 1-1 in extra time. The ball falls to Jimmy Case, the wiry Scouser with a reputation for thunderous tackles and even deadlier shots. He swivels on the edge of the box, his right foot connecting with a half-volley that screams past Alex Stepney into the top corner. A goal so pure, so audacious it seals a 2-1 victory and etches his name into immortality. Kennedy on his chest. Case has got room for a left-foot shot. 1-1. What an answer, the commentator roars as the Copetes erupt in ecstasy. We've all seen the highlights on telly, the tributes flickering across screens like ghosts of glories past. But what lingers unspoken? The incidents behind closed doors, the raw edges of a legend's life that rarely make the montage. Jimmy Case wasn't just a player. He was a whirlwind, a visionary midfielder who pulled strings for Bob Paisley's dynasty, a hard man with a soft spot for the bottle, and a fighter whose off-pitch battles rivaled his on-field conquests. From dockside scraps in Garston to the glitz of European finals, this is the unvarnished tale of James Robert Case, triumphs that shook stadiums, scandals that shook headlines, and a resilience that outlasted them all. Buckle up, Reds. We're diving deep into the full story of the man they called the Iron Fist. Born on a drizzly May 18, 1954, in the heart of Liverpool's Allerton district, Jimmy Case entered a world where football wasn't a choice, it was survival. Allerton, with its council estates and cobbled streets, was a breeding ground for dreamers and doers, home to a young Paul McCartney tinkling piano keys nearby. But for the Cases, it was all about the beautiful game. Jimmy's dad, a docker with hands like hams from years on the Mersey wharves, instilled the basics: trap it, turn, strike. By age 5, young Jimmy was terrorizing the local park, his small frame belying a ferocity that would define him. Football mad from the off, he'd later quip in his no-holds-barred 2014 autobiography Hard Case. Schoolyard kickabouts turned into organized chaos with the Allerton Scouts, where he'd rampage through games, coats as goalposts dreaming of Anfield's roar. But life wasn't all volleys and victory laps. At 14, scouts from Liverpool, the club of his boyhood heart, took one look at his slight build and sent him packing. Too small, too skinny, they said. Undeterred, Jimmy apprenticed as an electrician, wiring houses by day and honing his craft by night with the rough-and-tumble Blue Union, a docker's outfit in Garston, where teenagers like him faced grown men who played for keeps. No mercy from the 30-somethings, he recalled. Fists flew as often as feet, building a character forged in Merseyside grit. By 16, he'd caught the eye playing for non-league South Liverpool, a side of plumbers and painters chasing glory on shoestring budgets. It was here in the Northern Premier League's mud and mayhem that scout Tom Saunders, the same one who'd rejected him, spotted redemption. The lad's got fire, Saunders told Bill Shankly. In May 1973, for a princely $500, Jimmy Case signed semi-pro forms with the Reds. Little did he know, he'd soon become the heartbeat of a dynasty. Anfield under Shankly was electric, a cauldron of passion where the boot room brewed legends. Jimmy arrived as an unknown, training alongside gods like Kevin Keegan and John Toshak, but he earned his stripes the hard way. Debut came on April 26, 1975, against QPR, a 3-1 win where Toshak and Keegan notched, but Case's lung-bursting runs set the tone. I was buzzing, he wrote. By the 1975-76 season, with Shankly retired and Bob Paisley at the helm, Jimmy exploded. Repositioned on the right midfield, he was a dynamo, tough as teak in the tackle, earning the moniker Iron Fist alongside Graham Souness, yet visionary with passes that sliced defences. His first goal? A screamer against Spurs on August 23, 1975, a 3-2 thriller at Anfield. That campaign yielded League and UEFA Cup glory, Jimmy chipping in during the final against Club Brugge. We were unstoppable, he reflected, medals piling up like Mersey rain. The 1976-77 treble chase saw Liverpool claim another title, but fall short in the FA Cup final to Man United, until Jimmy's Wembley thunderbolt turned agony to ecstasy. Extra time 1-1, and his swivel volley, what a answer, sparked delirium. Stuart Pearson's late strike forced a replay, which Liverpool won 2-0, but that goal remains etched in folklore. The late 70s were Case's zenith, a blur of silverware and swagger. In 1977-78, he anchored midfield as Liverpool lifted the European Cup in London, thrashing Club Brugge 1-0, Kenny Dalglish's debut header the decider. Jimmy's engine room mastery, alongside Ray Kennedy and Souness, suffocated foes, his ferocious shooting yielding screamers like the one that buried Arsenal in the Charity Shield. League titles followed in 1978-79 and 1979-80, the latter sealed with a 4-1 demolition of Villa. Europe bowed again in 1981, Rome's Stadio Olimpico witnessing Alan Kennedy's winner over Real Madrid. Jimmy's late sub-appearance a nod to his enduring utility. League Cup glory capped 1981, a replay win over West Ham. 6 seasons, 178 Reds appearances, 28 goals, and a haul of 4 league titles, 3 European Cups, a UEFA Cup, League Cup, FA Cup and more. Voted number 45 in Liverpool's 2006 100 Players Who Shook the Cup poll, he was the unsung hero, the Scouser who bled red. "You couldn't get in that team if you couldn't play," he quipped. But glory's flip side? Shadows that simmered behind the boot room door. Jimmy wasn't just a grafter. He was a lad from the estates, with a penchant for the pub that blurred victory's edge. "I drank like a fish," he admitted unapologetically in hard case. Post-match pints with Kennedy, his midfield soulmate, were ritual, toasts to triumphs that stretched into dawn. Paisley, the sage of Silverdale, turned a blind eye at first. After all, winners like Keegan partied too. But whispers grew. Jimmy's knee niggles in 1980-81. Blamed on knocks, but the gaffer saw deeper. A body pushed by relentless training and reckless nights. Sammy Lee's emergence on the right flank squeezed him out, but off-field rose, with journalists like Tony Powell and Ian Curry, whom he accused of betrayal, fueled the fire. Attitudes changed after Paisley, Jimmy lamented, hinting at favoritism for flashier stars. The last straw? A mid-season break in January 1981 at the Bryn Howell Hotel in Llangollen, North Wales. Fresh off a derby demolition of Everton, Jimmy and Ray Kennedy hit the bar, adrenaline and ale flowing. What started as banter escalated. Chairs flew, fists landed. The Lloyd's hotel owners bore the brunt, kicks, punches, chaos. Police cells in Wrexham followed, $150 fines each, a king's ransom then, for grievous bodily harm. Jimmy insists Kennedy was elbowed first, himself swept into the fray as loyal wingman. Instigator. Nah, participant maybe, he shrugged in his book. Headlines screamed boozy brawl, painting the Iron Fist as a loose cannon. Paisley, appalled by the reputational hit and fearing Jimmy's hometown ties would drag him deeper into drink's undertow, saw the writing. "He knew I was attached to Liverpool like glue," Case reflected. Sold to Brighton and Hove Albion for $200,000 in summer 1981. It wasn't just the pub. It was protecting a legend from himself. Heartbreaking but necessary, banished with a heavy heart, as one scribe put it. Brighton welcomed Jimmy as a talisman, the Goldstone ground his new Colosseum. Under Jimmy Adamson, he slotted seamlessly. His experience the glue for a Seagulls side punching above weight. The 1982-83 FA Cup run, pure Case magic. Quarters, a strike against Norwich. Semi's replay, his equaliser against Sheffield Wednesday, forcing extra time and a 2-1 win. Wembley beckoned, Brighton's first final. Against Man United it was heartbreak, 2-2 draw then a 4-0 replay loss. Hans Smith must score. Gordon Smith's miss haunts, but Jimmy's grit endures. Relegation stung in 1983, yet he stayed, captaining through the mire and netting in the next FA Cup quarters and semis. Liverpool again the victims in 84. His old club ousted 1-0 at Anfield. "Strange feeling knocking out the Reds," he chuckled. By 1985, Southampton came calling. $80,000 for a 30-year-old warhorse. At the Dell under Chris Nicol, Jimmy became captain, a midfield professor schooling prodigies like Matthew Letitia, Alan Shearer and Rod Wallace. He had a brilliant football brain, Nicol praised. Player of the Year in 1989-90, he orchestrated a 4-1 humbling of Liverpool that October, goals flying as Saints soared to 7th. Epic moments. The 1986 FA Cup semi against the Reds, 2-0 loss after extra time. but Jimmy nearly scripted 3 finals with 3 clubs. Over 200 appearances, no major silver but legacy. Priceless, mentoring the Dell's golden generation, the journeyman's path wound on. Bournemouth in 1991, 40 games in Division 3. His debut season at a level he'd never scraped before. "Felt like starting over," he said. Reunited with Blackpool boss Mick McManus at Halifax Town for 6 months in 1992, then Wrexham, promotion from Division 3 in 1992-93 as Halifax tumbled to non-league. Darlington got a one-off cameo. At 41, still the oldest outfield pro in the top 4 tiers, Jimmy hung up boots in 1995, a suspected broken neck the final whistle. But the bottle. He faced it head-on, curbing habits with the same tenacity that felled forwards. Grit off the pitch, too, as hard case lays bare. Funny yarns, sad confessions, no punches pulled. Post-retirement, Jimmy circled back to his roots. Player-coach at Brighton in 1993, manager in 1995 after Liam Brady's exit, still netting at 41, outlasting all but keeper Peter Shilton. Brief stints at Bashley FC in the New Forest followed. Then punditry, Radio Hampshire, BBC Merseyside, LFC TV from 2007. He toured the UK and Ireland for 2007's 30th anniversary of the 77 European Cup finals, regaling with Tommy Smith and Joey Jones. In 2009, mascot for Liverpool Legends memorabilia events, ever the meet and greet icon. Hard case, penned with raw Scouse candour, peels back the layers, from chinning teammate Alec Lindsay in a 75 training bust-up that earned Paisley's nod, turning point, he claims, to debunking Keegan's black eye myth, not him despite rumours. It's anecdotes galore, Paisley's tank quip in Rome, Shankly's bollockings, blended with reflection on family tragedies that put football in perspective. Packed with incident funny and sad, raves Kevin Keegan in the forward, the man you'd want in the trenches, Jimmy Case's arc. From non-league nippers to European conqueror, pub brawls to boardroom bollocks, it's resilience incarnate. No England caps. A travesty, as Paisley noted. They don't play like us because they ain't got Jimmy. Over 700 club games, a career spanning 4 decades, he embodied Liverpool's ethos, pass and move, tackle and triumph. The Bryn Howell melee? A footnote to the fighter who rose above. Today at 71, he savours grandchildren, Anfield returns, and the cops chant, "Jimmy Case, he scores when he wants." The unseen hero who forced his way in, he reminds us, the beautiful game's beauty lies in its scars. What's your favourite Case moment? That Wembley volley or the grit that followed? Drop it in the comments, like if it hit home, and subscribe for more tales of the cops' quiet kings.